Are you constantly seeking motivation? Do you watch inspirational content, get excited, and then make vows to positively improve your life? It all goes well until one day you wake up and something feels different. You don't feel that same buzz that was previously there. It's cold and raining outside, and hauling your ass to the gym doesn't feel so appealing. Before you know it, days, even weeks have gone by, and the great man that you envision yourself becoming is nowhere to be seen and has been replaced by someone whose purpose now revolves around hungrily seeking relief from the pain of failure and regret. You repeatedly succumb to lower nature habits that you know are destroying your self-confidence and weakening your resolve. You wallow in self-pity until you get sick and tired, vow to get back on the horse, but then a couple of weeks later, you're back in the same place. Does this sound familiar to you? What's going on? And why can't you do the things the God within you knows are going to lead you to where you want to go? The secret piece of the puzzle is not in finding the perfect methodology or seeking shiny objects. The people you admire aren't any different to you, and they don't have a secret you're unaware of. The majority of us have been conditioned to believe that if it's hard, then something's gone wrong. These things aren't changed overnight, and in this video, I'm going to address these problems for good.
In order to change, I have to be something I'm not.
Welcome to this video, boys. The first thing I'm going to talk about here is in not keeping promises to yourself. So do you keep making promises to yourself that you're going to go to the gym or you're going to start the diet or something and then consistently find yourself falling off and not doing them? This is one of the biggest destroyers of your self-confidence and progress moving forward, because a part of you has learned that you're not somebody to be trusted. Every time you break a promise to yourself, there's some part of you that remembers that, and then the next time you vow to make that promise, there's always going to be a little voice in the back of your head like, yeah, you know, you said that last time. You want to think of this kind of like a scale, and every time you put something negative on that side, which would be saying you're going to do something, then not doing it, that lower part of you grows in strength, and the positive part, the person you're trying to become, basically loses power. We've all got a friend or somebody we know that is a bit of a flake, and they consistently cancel plans on us and things like that. So over time, you just learn to distrust this person, because every time you've arranged something, they always pull out last minute. So you have to ask yourself, why would that be any different with yourself? I personally try and take this really seriously, and if there's something, say in my training, that I've decided I'm going to do a certain amount of sets or rounds or something, even if I'm absolutely exhausted and really not feeling it, I'll make myself go to the end just to have that mental peace of mind. Basically, even if the session's an absolute bag of shit, it's more important to me to finish that session than to quit and kind of lose that credibility with myself. Humans seem to have this very strange way of continuously approaching a problem using the same methodology that is producing very lackluster or quite simply abysmal results. And I've fallen victim to this personally. Like when I find something that I want to change, I always like to do everything. I'm quite an all or nothing person, and I always like to do everything full out. So I always kind of want to run the marathon before I can even make it around the block. All this does is serve to make you feel absolutely shit about yourself and keep you right where you are. So there comes a time when you've just like had enough failure, where you've been trying something for so long, it's clearly not worked. You've got like minimal to no results at all. And you've just got to swallow that pill and admit to yourself that you were wrong and just say what I was doing isn't working and change your approach. And this is also compounded by the prevalent view in society that failure is a bad thing. In short, you're likely aiming way too high and just need to take a step back and set yourself up to win in small ways. This is why Jordan Peterson's become well known for that saying, tidy your room. It sounds super simple, but what he means by that is that if you're continuously living a certain way, relapsing into bad habits, it can often be more beneficial just to simply admit to yourself that you're not ready for that level just yet. You can never underestimate the power of these dense emotions, things like guilt and shame, when you fall off the wagon, and they keep you in this perpetual cycle of constantly repeating the negative behaviors that you're trying to move away from, and they actually reinforce the very negative mindset that makes you do them in the first place. Even just this subtle mindset shift can be enough to shake loose a little bit of that resistance and get you on a more upward trajectory. And I've found myself in the past relapsing into bad habits and then piling things like shame on top of that, which only leads to self-loathing. It might seem counterintuitive, but I would suggest holding the desire to quit the habit, but then not beating yourself up if you do relapse, because that's a part of recovering from something that's undesirable. So don't think about counting days or anything like that and then over-dramatizing a relapse, meaning that you've lost all of your progress. It totally puts you in a wrong mindset. Instead, track how many times over a space of a month or two you've done the bad habit, and then work to reduce that over time. There's no shame in starting small, guys, and the man who takes consistently small actions every single day is always going to beat the man who takes massive action every now and then. The next point closely ties into that first one, and it's your self-talk. So what is your self-talk like? Have you ever even asked yourself that question? Why not just think about yourself as the best that you can be? Why not view yourself as the best person in your field? So you want to talk to yourself the way you would talk to a child who you're trying to motivate and inspire, because all that matters is how you see yourself. There's this prevalent belief that chastising and beating yourself up, getting angry at yourself is really useful and will prevent you from failure in the future. But all it really does is erode the self-esteem, as I already mentioned, and lead to self-loathing over time. especially if you're aiming vastly too high for your current level. It almost becomes like a rigged game that you can't even win. And in working on this, you have to be really self-aware, because if the paradigm that you've been operating with has been this way for so long, you're just going to think it's normal to do that and never have even questioned it. I always found this weird, the fact that we have these sort of seemingly different personalities within us. You know, there's like the higher self, the one that wants to go towards the good habits and improve, and then we have the side of our personality that sabotages us. So who are you, really? You've got to ask that question. Like, the truth of it is that they're both being generated from our consciousness, so why not listen to the positive voice? And you do have the power to choose that, despite the resistance that the self-sabotaging part of your personality throws in its kind of tantrum in order to get you to keep in the same place. There's this saying that's very true, which is that you don't experience reality objectively as it actually is. You experience a subjective reality based on your own biases and conditioning. Take the example of a person who's really struggling to get into a consistent workout program, and they view life as really hard, going to the gym so hard, it's so tiring and taxing mentally. And in their reality, that's absolutely true for them currently. That is what they believe is the absolute truth. But if that was the objective truth, then why is somebody like myself feel that life's hard, basically the same emotion as those people feel, if I don't go to the gym instead? So the truth is just whatever you make it. I recommend an exercise in this area to develop self-awareness, which is over a span of about a week or so, just kind of noting down, whenever you remember, all the thoughts that your mind is feeding you, either positive or negative, about any topics that you approach throughout your day. You have to be really on the ball with this, because sometimes if you've been thinking a certain way for a very long period of time, it doesn't even really occur to you as thoughts anymore. It's just maybe a feeling within your body, kind of like a low-level anxiety or depression. You'll notice that your self-talk varies regarding different topics. So it might be, I'm super fit and healthy, I love going to the gym, but I'm terrible at maths. And you have to basically look at what you've written down and assess like the areas that you're wanting to improve in. Are the thoughts that you're currently thinking conducive to improving in that area? What you'll probably find is that many of the thoughts that you're currently thinking regarding your goals are actually negative. So what you need to do in that instance is choose to adopt new beliefs, and you have to just keep repeating them until they become solidified in your subconscious mind. The next one is subtly avoiding challenge or hardship. Your ego is very insidious, and it knows how to push all your buttons to keep you in a place that it identifies as safe. So it's being generated by you, it's as close to you as it can be, it knows all of your fears, all of your anxieties, and it's going to play on them to keep you from making changes. This one can be super tricky to work with, and again, I can't stress the importance of self-awareness with all of these topics actually. And these can range from big to seemingly meaningless things, but they all count at the end of the day. One I've caught myself doing before is when I'm training, working out, is having this urge to change the music track that I'm listening to. It seems like something meaningless on the surface, but when I was really honest with myself, I was like, you know, you're doing this because this workout's getting hard now, and you're trying to avoid that discomfort by changing the music. So this is what I mean when it can be things that are massive, or it can be things that are absolutely tiny. An example of a really big one that I think many people suffer with today, and we can go into the reasons why this is in other videos, but I think it's this belief that there's like something wrong with me, I'm broken, I need to heal, I need to feel confident before I can start taking action, which is absolute bullshit. It works the other way around. Confidence is built through achieving small wins consistently over time. The ego does not give a shit about your goals or your happiness, and prioritizes familiarity, which it associates with safety, over moving forward into the unknown, which it associates with risk. One of the best books on this topic is The War of Art by Steven Pressfield. The author speaks about how he was 40 years old before he gained any real success, and up until that point had been, in his own words, wiped out by resistance. So don't be discouraged by your age or how long it's taken you to make progress, or comparing yourself to other people. If you start buying into that, you can notice again that that's another one of the ego's creative mechanisms of manipulating you to stay right where you are. Something that's really good for this that I like to do is called morning pages, and all it is as soon as you wake up, before doing anything else, try and get to it as quick as you can. You just take out like an A5 journal and write 3 pages of just anything that's on your mind, basically a full stream of consciousness. Don't think about what you're going to write, and make sure you write quickly so you're not deliberating on all of the words. This just gets some distance between you and what you're thinking, and gets it out on paper so you can take a more objective look at it. I highly suggest that you tackle this right now, because I think one of the most catastrophic results of this is lying on your deathbed one day and realizing that there was actually nothing tangible in your way, and it was all just your own bullshit. The next one doesn't require a great deal of explanation, and that is overanalyzing your current situation. I think so many people's problem these days is that they've just got themselves tied up in so many knots, thinking that there's like something wrong with them. they need to heal, they need to like do this practice, oh what's the perfect method, oh I don't know it, oh this new diet's come out, oh I need to change this now. There is no one size fits all method, everybody's different. You just need to get started on the basics of what you're doing, and then from that point you're going to build that confidence, get those small wins in, and then you're going to intuitively be drawn to better methods of training and progression. And in the beginning, before you've really built up those wins, before you've built up a little bit of confidence to kind of fuel you further, you're just going to simply have to make yourself go through your own sheer will and discipline. Even if that's just, say, going to the gym for 20 minutes, at least you went, and then do the same the next day and the next day and build it up over time. You can have these inspirational figures, you know, people you look up to, and I think that's really important to have something to strive for and something to model your behavior on. But don't allow comparison to those people, which includes me by the way, be the thief of your own progression. The last point, which seems a little bit of an outlier because it does feel a little bit like maybe one of the habits that you're trying to implement, but that's having a crap diet. The reason I wanted to include this here is because I see it as one of those foundational things, just like sleep, that basically underlies all of the other things that you're trying to build on top of. And if your brain's basically malnourished, then good luck developing any self-awareness around the things that you're trying to change. I'm not going to go into this too much, it's beyond the scope of this video, but just eat things with one ingredient, high quality protein sources. I like beef and eggs. They're some of the most nutritionally dense foods on the planet. Cut all the processed garbage and refined sugar, which just spikes your insulin, leads to brain fog, lethargy and cell degradation, and is one of the main causes of a lot of these so-called age-related illnesses. Absolutely stop consuming these seed oils. Guys, just stop with the seed oils. Things like rapeseed oil, canola oil, they can lead to everything from diabetes, obesity, heart disease, IBS, inflammation, and muscular degradation. Completely get rid of artificial sweeteners, things like aspartame and ACE. They just excite your brain cells too much and then destroy them as a result, and they cause anxiety. When mice were given these sweeteners in doses way below what we even get in a Coke can, it caused anxiety symptoms in the mice. So if you're suffering from anxiety and you're consuming a lot of these artificial sweeteners, especially in things like unsweetened monsters for instance, because along with that artificial sweetener you're then piling a load of caffeine on top of that, it's just not a good recipe. Anxiety raises cortisol levels in the body, which is the antithesis of testosterone. So if you're suffering with symptoms of low testosterone, then all of this self-improvement stuff is going to be infinitely harder. And on that note as well, don't be afraid of consuming high levels of fats. So fats are absolutely essential for hormone production, especially the sex hormones. So do not be afraid to consume high amounts of fat and buy into this low fat nonsense that is still very, very prevalent today. That was basically propaganda that was orchestrated by cereal companies and other processed food companies in order to get you to buy their products. So be sensible with it, don't under or overeat. If you undereat and you're in a calorie deficit for too long that's too aggressive, it's going to really tank your hormones, especially your testosterone. And if you overeat, obviously you're just going to get fat and you're going to be having too many calories for your activity level. So work out what's good for you, work out your lifestyle needs and try different things out and try and optimize based on those factors. Thanks very much for watching this video guys. I hope you enjoyed it and found it valuable. If there's anything that you would like clarifying or any questions you've got about the things I mentioned in this video, please just comment below and I will do my best to answer those. And if you want any help or accountability, mentorship around any of this stuff or training, diet in general, things like that, then I offer one-to-one mentorship calls which you can book following the link below. Thanks very much for watching and I will see you in the next video.